Remember, before you do anything else, before you get sidetracked, before you minimize this, before you do anything else, hit the thumbs up button on this video. The thumbs up button helps push Wingbits content like this to other people on YouTube. It has nothing to do with if you like my fancy graphics or lack of or anything like that. The algorithm works that by liking this video, hitting that thumbs up, when other people looking for Wingbits, this will get pushed to them so they can get the updates, and it helps the project. If you want to help the project, hit the thumbs up. Also subscribe so you can keep up with all the passive income projects we got going on right now. Welcome back to another video. It's been a very busy day. In between working my real job, I've also been trying to keep up with big changes that happened in Wingbits. We got kind of a heads up on this yesterday in the Pioneer section, since a couple of us were alpha members way in the beginning of this, and kind of gave some of our feedback back. And you know, they don't call me grumpy for no reason. I had to earn that name. And as my wife says, I don't like change. And it took me a little while to understand what is going on here. And it's kind of a drastic change, but it's for the better. And I really think, especially the new people coming in to this project, are really going to like this. So if you want to hear about that, stay tuned for more. Moving on. All right. Now that I got that out of my system, I'm back on the beach and everything's cool. I just had to get that out of my system. Like I said, it's been a long day, and that's kind of negativity, you know. I don't understand it. But anyway, so Wingbits came out with a new, I don't even want to call it a program, compensation, new way of signing up. Like I said, at first, I didn't know how I felt about it. And now, you know, they actually did a live, they call it a stage, kind of like an AMA, instant kind of live thing. They got on to Discord, the guys, and I said this again, the kids say, if I'm throwing shade, I'm throwing shade. I don't care. But the fact that these guys knew that there would be some people, old farts like me, who probably questioned why or when or anything like that, and they were willing to take that head on, instantly get into this stage, if you want to call it that, and they took it on, you know, and anybody who questioned it or anything like that, they were willing to answer questions about it, explain what was going on with it. And people had questions, and once they kind of came, instead of trying to explain the stuff on Discord and that kind of stuff like that, you know, to me, it came out a lot clearer, the fact that they were sitting here explaining it to us, what their reason or thought is. And yes, it's people like me who've been alpha and then beta for since probably this time last year, close to it. And they knew some of us would be a little upset, but we have to be honest. The fact that several of us were able to buy all these hexes, and anybody who came in, you know, that did look bad. That, you know, everything in your area would have been purchased. So, you know, if you live in here in, you know, Texas, think about it. The whole state is basically, you know, this is Texas, you know, north, south, west side, east side right here. You know, half the state of Texas is purchased. So if you lived anywhere around here, your hexes were covered. You know, this is the whole northeast of the United States. You lived around here, like I was trying to help a guy that lives up in here somewhere to give the best possible coverage just so he can possibly purchase some of these hexes. You know, it was getting to be a bit much. This was even worse. So once you had 3 people who purchased it, they were then owners of those hexes. And like I said, and I did a video before, you'd be surprised how far your coverage can get. And you could still put, you know, antennas up on miners, whatever you want to call them here, and still get compensated as supporters. But they knew that that was a logic that was not going to be beneficial long run. Plus, talking to their potential customers or clients, or, you know, whoever they were talking to, about more antennas in certain areas to make sure that there was redundancy and that kind of stuff like that, they realized that this Hex 3 model that was going on was not beneficial long run. And again, I appreciate that these guys are that involved, that they're willing to change the game, if you say, or change their way of looking at it, their thinking about it, basically change. And they knew that they were going to hear stuff about this stuff, and they still took it on the chin and approached it, you know, and they took it. So first, before that we go any further, like, this is my hexes. This is what I purchased. And I told you, I always stay straight up with y'all. You know, I am covering, I have 6 or 7 miners stretched out from Lafayette. I have one that's about to go up in Gulfport, but I have some on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain right here, and I have them almost down south to the Gulf. So my stations were spread out in this, but I was covering, you know, this whole area right here where I had hexes. So they come out with an announcement today about they are changing, basically they're eliminating hex purchases, and there'll be no more worrying about purchasing a hex or anything like that. They're also going from a hex 3 resolution to a hex 6 resolution. What's that means, I'll show you in a minute. But one of the biggest things is, and this seemed to be, you know, one of the big sticklers that a lot of people had questioned about was, you know, what's going to happen is if I have a live antenna in a certain hex, I'm going to get that hex. And we'll discuss that again also in a second. Also, if you purchase hexes, like me, I purchased 12 or 13 hexes. My family member purchased 4. My family member will have the option. You will be sent an email with a form, and that form will be, hey, thank you for purchasing 4 hexes. However, with our new plan, it's not needed. Would you like your $80 back? I think you paid $20 per hex. 4 hexes, that's $80. Would you like your $80 back now, ma'am? Or if you wish, we will give you, my sister was part of the beta side, so she wasn't an alpha. So the beta gets 110% of the hex purchase. So, you know, what is that? $22 worth of whatever the token's going to be or something like that. My point is 110% of the hex purchase value. You have that choice. Me, not financial advice. What I'm doing, I'm already out the money. I'm not worried about it. I am fully dedicated to Wingbits. I'm 100% behind the project. I'm just going to do the 150% of tokens for my 11, 12, 13 hexes I have. You can do either one. You have people who are asking about, can I get half my hexes back in money, another half in tokens? No, it's a either or thing. You can choose on the form that you get emailed, which one would you like? And that's basically it. So your live antennas will automatically be assigned to the hex that it's in. What they explained to us in the live stage was, if you have 2 antennas, or there's somebody else who owns an antenna that happens to be in your hex, they'll just assign you the closest one to that hex. Saying that, because I know this question is going to come up, there is no area for error, if that makes sense. There is none of this game that I need the hex next to me and I'm just going to fudge my GPS. They explain that they have an algorithm or a way to figuring that out. And I'm just spitballing here, but I know there was a way before one of the other projects about figuring out the RSSI triangulation. They can tell basically about RSSI of the planes you're picking up or something like that, of telling whether or not you were fudging your location or not. But you will basically, from now on, you will put an antenna up in a hex, one antenna in one hex, and that's it. So what's the difference in hexes look like to me? That's what probably some people are going to ask. You know, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. You know, there's a balance I'm trying to make between making this video too long, getting enough content. I know people don't watch the whole videos. I can see that. I can see the reports back. I'm trying to help y'all out. You know, I'm sure some of y'all are not going to watch this and then still ask questions. But right now, this is a hex 3. Right now, if I want to put, you know, a helium miner, if I want to put a Wingbits device, antenna, miner, whatever you want to call it, into one of these hexes, I just figure out my GPS and put it in there. And then if I'm covering this area, I'm purchasing these hexes. So I'll give you a link to this map in my description, but basically you zoom into resolution 6. When you're in resolution 6, you'll see that now in the New Orleans area, we went from, one hex covering this whole, almost to Baton Rouge into New Orleans. Now, when you go into 6, you can see that there's a lot of hexes now between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So right now, we'll use this area for example. So right now, I have a Wingbits device somewhere, which is close to the Superdome. I'm gonna zoom in just so I can kind of get an idea where I'm at right here. So right now, I'm having a miner that's here in the Superdome. If you're familiar with the New Orleans Saints play, I have a Wingbits device about a block away from here. I have another Wingbits device right here where it says Lakeshore. So, and this is right next to a airport, which the airport is, look right here, it says New Orleans Lakefront Airport, if y'all can see that. So, with the water, I'm picking up all the planes and stuff like that. But anyway, so right now, let me get back to resolution 6. So when I have this, so when they go and assign it, this hex now should belong to me for this miner, and this hex should belong to me. I'll get a sign there. You have to have these set up right now, or in the next couple of days for when they start assigning these. If you don't have a miner assigned, online, you will not get that hex assigned to you. We'll come back to that. Now, the question comes in is if somebody else has a miner set up right here, what's going to happen? Well, whoever was first, now mine has been set up since last year when we were in alpha, beta, whatever it was. I'm guessing I would be first. The person who might have put one on there a month or two ago, the Wingbits team will give them the closest hex. So you might get this hex that's over water, and you might see people with a hex over water. The Wingbits team is allowed to do that. That's the team. So they might give that miner here. Once, if I wanted to put another one up for coverage, they're saying once you put that one miner up in this area, there's no more miners that can go in that area. Guys, y'all know I'm a straight shooter. And I know, I'm not employed by Wingbits or anybody else other than where I work full time. That has nothing to do with this. I'll call it like it is. I don't know if I care for that. I understand where they're trying to get to, where, hey, we're trying to open up more of this area. Where before this whole area was one hex 3. Now they've narrowed it down, because of trees and because of different things that's around here. Once I get one hex that's right here on Lakeshore, I think with all this, a huge city park right here, gigantic oak trees. There's some buildings on this backside. To me, if I put another miner here, it would give it adequate coverage. What they're saying is no. They believe that with my miner here and then another miner here, that's giving enough coverage here. Somebody else has a miner here. That's enough, because you can't look at it as I'm providing coverage here. What we're really providing coverage here, and I'm zooming all the way out, is my miner here is really providing coverage all around here. So my 2 or 3 miners right here, I can barely move the mouse, is really providing coverage all the way around. And that is one thing I will admit that I kind of got wrong earlier when I was discussing with them. And once they told me that, is don't zoom up. Resolution 6 is strictly for miner assignment, and that's it. You're still going to be compensated for what you're covering in hex 3s. Yes, that gets confusing. And basically, what they're trying to say is where my miners, so in the past, when you had these green hexes right here, and any of these hexes right here were green, and you provided coverage for those hexes, kind of like what I'm doing. As you can see right here, I don't know if I clicked on that, it'd be a mistake. But anyway, right now, These planes are in those green hexes. Now, these green hexes are going to be at maximum rewards, and anybody who is giving that now, who can reach that, is going to be rewarded with the max rewards. You don't have to worry about owning it and having to go buy all these hexes that you're covering. So the reward should be equaled out a lot better. I will also take this opportunity, just because of the mood I'm in, all the naysayers that want to continue to argue with me, and I know I've covered this in my last 2 videos, and I'm going to cover it again. Y'all want to argue with me about antennas and gain and everything else. You see these blue lines up here? These blue lines represent where it has covered planes still. You see this blue line right here? 420 miles. Y'all want to keep arguing with me about antennas? Here we tracked the plane almost to Orlando. 500 miles. People want to still argue with me about antennas when I try to tell them what antennas to be using. You can see where my white line is. This is 200 miles. You see this line right here? This line is 200 miles. And I'm getting planes 252 miles right here. 230 miles. So it's not like it's a once in a while thing. 250 miles. 260 miles. But y'all want to keep arguing with me about what antenna to use and argue with me about 12 dB versus 9 dB versus 5.5 dB. And I'm trying to tell y'all, this is not a project for high gain. You're not transmitting. You're not trying to get a signal out. You're trying to receive. The high gains hurt you. So going back, I'm going to use another example. This is the New York, Northeast, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, Philadelphia, and stuff like that. And right now, this is the Hex 3. So basically, y'all know what that looked like when I showed y'all that earlier. This is what the Hex 3 looks like. You can see it's all purchased. Now, this is all going away. And when you go back to this, so instead of it looking like this, you're now going to have this. And you can put an antenna by each one of these hexes, inside one of these hexes. So here's Baltimore now. You know, where you went from here, where now you had Baltimore and all this in one hex, Washington, D.C. to Baltimore to Easton, you know, into Delaware or Philadelphia, all the way to Lancaster, all these different areas like that. You know, New York itself was one gigantic hex. Once 3 people bought that, it was out. Now, when you zoom into New York, look how many hexes you have just broken New York into that you can put a ground station at. And everybody gets equally, you know, distributed rewards. So, you know, I hope everybody kind of understands this. I'm sure you're going to have some kind of questions and stuff like that. Go into the Wingbits Discord, understand what they're trying to do. Again, I'll have a link to that map on there so y'all can kind of see where your own Wingbits stuff is. There's a lot of people in here asking questions, but get into the Wingbits Discord, you know, and for some people, this is going to be a good thing because now you don't have to purchase a hex. These guys feel that you will be purchasing your own product, your own boxes, your own SDRs, your own antennas, that's an investment enough in it. And that they don't need the $20 from your hexes. They want you to get involved in the project. So a couple of things I want to hit on real quick before I close this out. If you own a hex and you have not deployed an antenna, but would like to get a token airdrop instead of a refund, you have until February 28th to deploy the antenna in order to be eligible for token airdrop. So you have 13 days from today to get some type of antenna up in that area that you said you were putting it. They want us to make sure that we are updating and checking our antenna locations to make sure that they're accurate. For example, they have one registered in China, one in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Big thing is that I've seen is if you have, when you do your latitude and longitude, on your longitude, if you don't put a negative in front of it, and you're supposed to have a negative, you're on the wrong side of the world, buddy. So make sure that you you have all that correct. So I want to hit on again. I'm using Bitharvest in all of my Wingbits installs from now on. Why? I can easily do that. You know, you have all these different, these other ones. You have crank. Some of y'all are in the crank. So you can triple mine now. You can triple mine crank, Wingbits, and Helium. Things 1X understands on a holding pattern. They have honey gain and pawns right here. If y'all into that bandwidth sharing type thing, I'm hoping to get grass soon. Y'all know I'm in grass. And I'm sure they get some other projects. But strictly hanging us on Wingbits, I mean, you know, keeping this to a Wingbits subject, they have Wingbits. And also, please don't forget I have my other channel. I got 5 subscribers. It ain't taking off like I thought it would. Somehow these videos did very good when they were on this channel, but the algorithm was hurting me because I was mixing up the content. That's YouTube for you. And I broke it off to this one, and this page is struggling. So make sure y'all go like my other one, Grumpy Dad Outdoors. There is a link in the description. In case any of y'all missed it, I did post 2 parades from our area. It's a small town where I work at, smaller town in South Louisiana. And I did post 2 live parade footages of stuff that, you know, one I'm streaming from inside of a car. The other one is the stream that the office put on Facebook for everybody in the public to see. It cuts through different cameras at different times, and you can see different parts of the parade and stuff like that. That would be this one like this. And just in case y'all want to see what a parade looks like in a smaller town, not the crazy New Orleans one, even though this one had some pretty decent crowds in some spots, as you'll see. But and this one right here is just a small little community that puts a couple of trucks and stuff like that for a parade, very small community parade. Just in case y'all want to see that with Mardi Gras just finishing up over here in South Louisiana. So in closing, please make sure y'all are subscribed. Please make sure you like this video. Again, when you press like, it ain't because you agree with my videos and how great the, you know, all the fancy graphics are and stuff like that. It's because on a Wingbits video, when you hit the thumbs up, it's pushing Wingbits content to people on YouTube. If it's a Bitharvest video, if it's a Modus Mini video, and you press thumbs up, it is supporting Modus Mini and getting that information out to people on YouTube. So please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're following. I'm doing a lot of videos right now. I got a Weather XM video I'm also working on right now, but with this breaking news coming in from Bitharvest, with Wingbits, I wanted to hurry up and get this in. So I'll drop this video today, which is Thursday, and then probably first thing in the morning, I'll drop this other video from Weather XM if I'm ready for it. So for anybody who made this long, thank you all very much, and see you all in the next video.